A long, long time ago, before the inventions of the cell phone, the television, the automobile, or the light bulb, even way before the appearance of man, but after the dinosaurs, the magnificent Madame Pele, goddess of volcanoes and fire, desired a place to call home. Since most of her earthly creation job was completed, she now longs for a place to live and relax. Asia, Europe, the Americas, Antarctica, Africa, and Australia were all completed. It was time to settle down and enjoy herself. Carefully considering every continent, she wanted somewhere to semi-retire but still not be forgotten and still show off her volcanic power for millions of years to come. Then, one day, during her long and frustrating search, standing on the western shore, which will later be called the United States, Madame Pele noticed the calmness of the ocean that stretches all the way to Asia. "Aha!" she told herself. "That is where I will build my perfect paradise for my home, right in the middle of this pacifying ocean, where I will finally get my privacy and be far away from any disturbance, where the rain will feel as warm as the sun, where the luscious of green blankets cover the land, where there will be no poisonous plants nor animals, and every day be blessed with a double rainbow vibrantly showing off every known color." Ecstatic and convinced of her location choice, she wanted no time and began her creation of her new home. With diligence and determination, she summoned upward from the earth's core bright red molten lava, like blood through the veins, with no resistance, rushing upward and upward toward the floor of the deepest ocean. Only then did she seemingly never-ending battle begin. As her red-hot molten lava broke through the ocean floor, it was immediately met with an obstructive and resistant enemy, the vast and seemingly endless pristine saline water, disrupting the construction of her utopian home. Instantly hardening and cooling her anxious magma, she persevered, shooting layers upon layers of Earth's blood as it slowly built upward, inch by inch, till finally breaking the ocean's surface in the middle of the Pacific. Starting from the northwest island Papahanaumokuakea, she persevered, while altering and perfecting her creations. One by one, the islands started to take form. Now the more familiar islands began to emerge, Kauai and Ni'ihau, then Oahu, Maui, Molokai, Lanai, and Kaho'olawe, followed almost simultaneously, and finally the big island Hawaii. She grew very fond of this island, so she decided to make Mauna Kea her home. What better place there for her to keep an eye on all of her creations, but on top of the world's tallest mountain? She loved Hawaii so much that she named the entire island chain after it. Let it be known, the islands of Hawaii in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, where the closest shoreline was thousands of miles away, is Madame Pele's perfect paradise home, where she takes her human form and does exactly what she loves to do all day, swim and frolic in the ocean. Contrary to the battle she had with this salty water during her construction of her islands, her passion for swimming and frolicking in it obviously convinced her to release every bit of that past anger, just as if it had never happened. So there she was, at peace and utterly enjoying her semi-retirement in her very own paradise, and doing exactly what she loved best. Every day she would swim at a different beach on a different island and play with her only friend, the schools of Humuhumu Nukunuku Apua'a. They would follow her underwater and weave between her legs and arms, constantly tickling and playing hide-and-seek with Madame Pele. She also noticed that in the evening, after the trade winds naturally dried her off, a fine layer of salt powder would cover her beautiful brown skin and leave her hair salty, not making a big deal about it since it was easy to dust off and worth the trouble for swimming and playing with her friends. But one night there was a heavy downpour of rain, which she let her soak and wet. After the rain stopped, she quickly dried with the trade winds. But this time she noticed her skin felt so soft, smooth, and her hair silky and fresh. Loving the results, she wondered if there was a way to swim in fresh water and still play with her friends. The humu humu nuku nuku apoa. Aha! I will build lokovai, fresh water ponds at the foot of all of my volcanoes, and bring my friends to play. This way, I'll also be closer to watch over my volcanoes. Convinced that this was a great idea, she called upon the mythical Menehune for their help to build her lokovai, and also asked them to put her friends in each of the ponds. Even after they told her they only work at night, in no time hundreds of lokovais were built on every island. The Menehune would gather her friends and place them in the lokovais the night before her swim. She was so pleased and grateful to the Menehune and wanted to return the favor. She gave them free rein for their fish ponds anywhere they chose to build. So, keeping her same type of routine, every day she'd go to a different island and swim in a different lokovai, always having her friends say, humu humu nuku nuku apua'a. They're waiting to play. Madame Pele was so happy and felt truly blessed, a feeling she never felt before. Then one day, after swimming in the last lokovai, she decided to restart her swimming cycle. So the next day she returned to the first lokovai, excited to see her friends of humu humu nuku nuku apua'a. She ran toward the pond. As she approached the pond's edge, it did not look the same. What she saw, things floating on the entire surface. It was now clear to her. What she saw floating on the surface of the water was her almost lifeless friends. She cried, "Oh no!" Simultaneously with her cries came a rumbling of every particle on the island. Little did she know her friends can only swim in salt water. All of a sudden, the volcano that overlooked the lokovai erupted and started to spew out little red sparks. Sad and angry, she cried hysterically as she carefully gathered her friends, while the red sparks continued to only fall into the pond. With her hands filled with as many as possible, she ran back to the ocean shore. After she placed her seemingly lifeless friends into the ocean, she noticed them slowly getting better. When they were strong enough, each one thanked her and swam away. Still worried and crying profusely, Madame Pele made sure she returned all of her good friends, the humu humu nuku nuku apua'a, to their natural home. As she carefully and tearfully picked up each and every one of her friends, the lokovai kept filling with her tears along with the falling red sparks from the volcano. After the last of her friends were returned, she would cry no more, for her eyes had dried up and the tears stopped, but so did the falling red sparks. Returning to the lokovai to make sure she returned every one of her friends, she headed back to the tragic scene, knowing that she would no longer have her friends to play with in the lokovai. With her head hanging low, she could only see her feet step one in front of the other. Knowing she was close, she looked up and saw the edge of the disastrous pond, but this time it looked different. With eager curiosity, her pace quickly increased. When she entered the lokovai, the water looked like red blood. Immediately she checked herself to see if the blood was hers. After a thorough inspection, she had no cuts and found no bleeding anywhere on her. Nothing. Bewildered, she took an even closer look at the water. What she thought was red blood in the water started to move. Startled and baffled, she reached down with her finger to touch the water's edge. The surface of the water rippled away from her finger, and so did the redness. But a few moments after, the redness in the water started to ripple back.
With amazement and surprise, she said, "Oh my, Opae!" From tears of sadness now came replenished tears of happiness. Apparently, the red sparks that fell into the local turned into Opae'ula. With her joyous heart and gentle movement, she carefully started to swim with her new friends. The instantaneously created Opae'ula swarmed all around her. Madame Pele giggled and laughed again, and realized that she will not be lonely in her local vies anymore. Tickling her like her old friends, she started to swim and play with her new ones. But when she licked her lips, she noticed that the water was salty, but not as salty as the ocean. She realized that it was her sad and happy salty tears that mixed with the fresh water and had turned the Lokovai into an Alialia Nono, an alkaline brackish water pond where the Opae'ula can live a healthy life. This bittersweet swimming routine continued till Madame Pele visited every Lokovai, and like the first one, changed it into an Alialia Nono pond for the Opae'ula to flourish in. Madame Pele remained so grateful for her friends, the Opae'ula. Even with her routine visits to the Alialia Nono, where the Opae'ulas live, she never forgot how they brought happiness back to her, and always says, "Oh my, Opae," whenever she sees them.
Wahine